So without any further ado, we have Howard County at your service. And I would like to introduce you to Todd Givens, an investigator with Howard County Office of Human Rights and Equity, and he'll be talking about what we do and how we can serve you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Marla, for that very nice introduction. I think the only time I've been able to introduce, the only time I've had a better introduction is when I did it myself. So thank you again. And I think you just made me the presenter, so I'll share some content with you. Again, as Marla said, my name is Todd Givens, and I'm an investigator with the Howard County Office of Human Rights and Equity. And we just changed our name, so pardon me if I refer back to Howard County Office of Human Rights, but I'm going to try to remember it's Howard County Office of Human Rights and Equity. And basically, the purpose of our office is we seek to eliminate discrimination, increase equal opportunity, and protect and promote civil rights in Howard County. Now, how we do that is we investigate complaints regarding discrimination. And we have jurisdiction in the following areas, and that if it occurs in Howard County, Maryland, those areas being employment, financing, law enforcement, housing, and public accommodations. Public accommodations meaning something like the mall or the Y, or basically an entity that opens itself up to the public. Most of our complaints usually come from the area of employment. And generally, it's an issue. Somebody may say, I got terminated from my job, and I feel like I was terminated because I was in a protected class. Now, you might be asking yourself, what is a protected class? Well, discrimination is illegal in Howard County, and if you feel like you've been discriminated for any of these following reasons, and the reasons that are listed on the slide are what's called under the law protected class: race, color, creed, national origin, sex. Now, generally, most of the complaints are usually race or sex or disability or age, but Howard County, along with other counties, often have additional protected classes that are not under Title VII. Title VII being the Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which made discrimination illegal. But some counties and some states have added additional classes to those protected classes, such as personal appearance. So, for example, if somebody says, I'm not going to hire you because you wear braids, that could be personal appearance. Or I'm not going to hire you because you wear a nose ring, that could be a personal appearance. There's other things like in housing areas, source of income. And source of income usually means something like you have a housing voucher. So if someone were to say to you, I'm not going to rent to you because you have a housing voucher, that would be source of income discrimination. Also, now the protected classes have been expanded to include not just sex, but sexual orientation. So all of these are considered protected classes. And if you feel like you've been discriminated because that you are part of one of these protected classes, then obviously we would like you to give us a call and contact us. Our contact number is 410-313-6430, and I'll probably mention it again before I'm done, but you can contact us, and that's when we'll get started with the complaint. So the next question is obviously how to file a claim. Well, there's a couple different ways you can do that. You can obviously call the office. We have an intake officer who's on duty every day from 8 a.m. to 5. Due to COVID, we're not open to the public as far as taking visitors right now, but you can contact us by calling us. You can contact us by filling out an inquiry form on our OHR website, and so we would get your complaint. And then the next step would be, so when we meet with you, the intake officer would meet with you virtually or by phone to assist you with completing your charge. And when you met with the intake officer, we'd ask you to provide as much information as possible and whatever documentation you may have to assist with your case. And then after you do that, you'd sign the charge of discrimination, and then the intake officer would assign your case to an investigator, either probably be me or one of our other investigators in our office. So once the case is assigned to an investigator, the process begins. You'd be notified by mail with your case number, and who the person, the investigator is. And at that point, once you get assigned an investigator, any questions you have would be directed to the assigned investigator. Now, generally, the investigation process could take anywhere from, usually the averages from around 6 months to a year. And part of that depends on the complexity of the case and how many witnesses may be involved and that sort of thing. But during the course of the investigation, you have access to your investigator to sort of ask for updates or find out what's going on and that sort of thing. So once you get assigned an investigator, that would be your contact information for further information. Please keep in mind that Office of Human Rights and Equity is an impartial organization. So we're not your attorneys. We don't represent you, nor do we represent the company. So our job is essentially to look at the facts and make an assessment as to whether there is enough sufficient evidence to determine whether the claimant has been discriminated against. Along with our investigative unit, we also have an outreach unit, and we have wonderful people in our outreach unit like Marla Moore, who's been sponsoring this. And the purpose of the outreach unit, among other things, is we want to increase our community presence. We want people to know that we're out there. We want to be involved in the community engagement. We want to provide, and we do provide, training and experiences that affirm worth, and to basically make people more aware of not only discrimination, but ways to eradicate it. And so we also provide programming to help do that as well. And that's the outreach. They're separate and apart from the investigation unit, but they are also a critical piece in what OHRE does. Then also we have a Human Rights Commission. The Human Rights Commission is separate and apart from Office of Human Rights and Equity, but primarily what they do is they conduct hearings when either one or two things, either a complainant may appeal their findings. So for example, if our office found that the person was not discriminated against, the complainant has an opportunity to appeal the decision to the Human Rights Commission, and if they decide to accept the case, they can conduct hearings. Or if we do find that the complainant has been discriminated against, it automatically goes to the Human Rights Commission for hearing. And then assuming that there is actual hearing, then as far as what the remedy would be, that would be essentially in the jurisdiction of the Human Rights Commission. Our office doesn't get involved in remedies as far as trying to determine what the person should get if we found they've been discriminated against. Our basic focus is to try to determine whether or not there's sufficient evidence to determine whether the complainant has been discriminated against. So again, our information, I said I'd say it at least one more time. Our phone number is 410-313-6430, and our office is at 9820 Patuxent Woods Drive, Suite 237, and here in Columbia. Again, right now we're not taking visitors from the public, but you can certainly contact us, and our email is still howardcountymd.gov, even though we are in the midst of, we've changed our name, but right now this OHR email address still works. And then of course, like everybody else, we're on social media. And so we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. We have a wonderful social media administrative person, Marla Moore, who does all of that sort of stuff. So, and makes us present and so you can use those opportunities to sort of find out what we're doing, whether training's going on and different things like that. So please, we encourage you to look at us in those spaces. And at that point, that's all I have for now. I guess, I don't know, Marla, for sure if this is the question point, or we will wait till all the presenters present and then have question and answer.
This is the question point. If anyone has questions for Todd, please leave them in the chat. But I have a question for you.
Okay.
How long does the process, I know somebody just sent this to me, how long does the process just take from investigation to, in your findings and those things, to actually maybe having a settlement? And how many cases have you all settled? and what is the most positive outcomes you've seen?
Okay. Well, the one thing I didn't mention at the top too, as far as when you refer to, well, I'll take them in order. So usually basically from the time the person comes into the door to the time that we either issue a finding or the case is closed in some way, shape, or fashion, usually ranges, I'll say, somewhere between 6 months and a year. And and again, I can't say specifically how long it's going to take, because again, every case is not the same as far as number of witnesses or complexity, that sort of thing. Because in some cases it might be 2 witnesses, and it might be relative. The facts may be the facts may not be in dispute except for maybe one issue or something, and it might be relatively simple to answer. Or it might be something with several issues, might be several witnesses. But as an average, well, I shouldn't say as an average, I should say at the outset, at the longest point, I'll say a year, but it doesn't always take a year. But that's sort of, like I said, usually I usually sort of say, I'll say 6 months to a year to sort of resolve that. Now, the outcomes portion of the question is not that it's difficult for me to answer. I can't really answer it because those outcomes are, the cases are confidential, and so we can't discuss any settlements or obviously if there's a finding, we don't make that finding public, but that doesn't mean in some cases the persons may, like if you filed a case and you shared it, obviously it's your case and you might decide to share it, but we're not allowed to share it. So if there are hearings before the Human Rights Commission, those are public. But if we issue a finding, we issue a finding to the complainant and the respondent, who is normally, in this case, usually a company. So we don't share that information.
And have you seen the number of discriminatory cases you have decrease in the past few years in Howard County, or do you think that discrimination and the reporting of discrimination is on the rise?
I think the numbers have been fairly consistent since I've been in the office, and I think I'm going to sort of jump ahead to what I believe is the next question, and the fact is nobody knows. I think what we're probably going to see is sort of the whole, what I'm going to call, for lack of a better term, the COVID effect. And what I mean by that, there may be complaints related to whether I have to go back, or do I have to go back, or can the company make me go back? And quite frankly, we don't know, because this is all new and the courts haven't really started weighing in on those cases yet. So we'll all go down this road together to see how it plays out. I mean, we've had some conversations with the EEOC, and there's just some generalized guidance, but right now, because this is literally sort of a case of first impression, nobody is able to say definitively what the rule is going to be.
Thank you very much, Todd. And I'm going to turn it over to our next panelist, Ashley Groves, Director of Community Engagement for the Community Action Council. And I'm looking forward to that. Just give me a moment. Okay, you are the presenter.
Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Ashley Groves, Director of Community Engagement. Just waiting for the share option to come up on my screen. Give me a second here. Marla, it doesn't look like I can share content.
I hit the button, it's really slow.
Okay, there we go. Thank you so much. A second. You guys see my screen okay?
Yes, we can.
All right, great. Again, I'm Ashley Groves, Director of Community Engagement. I want to start off by saying thank you so much to the Office of Human Rights and Equity, I hope I got that right, for hosting this today and welcoming us. I would also be remiss if I didn't say thank you to the MLK Day Commission, who does so much for Community Action Council. Most recently had an incredibly successful food drive at the Howard County Food Bank in recognition of MLK Day. So thanks again, just wanted to start that way. As Marla said, I'm with Community Action Council. Here at Community Action Council, we work to diminish poverty, enable self-sufficiency, and advocate for low-income families and individuals. We do that through an integrated approach. We wrap our arms around the family when they come to us, and we have 4 core services that we offer. You'll see at the bottom of the screen: food access through the Howard County Food Bank, early childhood education at our 4 Head Start centers, energy and weatherization assistance here at Patuxent Woods, and then housing assistance as well. We have about 340 staff members here at CAC. The Howard County Food Bank is truly ran by volunteers. As you can see, 4,000 volunteers annually give about 22,000 hours to the Howard County Food Bank and our agency. Last year, CAC served close to 52,000 individuals. Before moving on to the next slides, I wanted to take a second and just kind of share with you our 4 core programs and how those are typically administered. At the Howard County Food Bank, our commitment to the families that we serve is to provide them with fresh and healthy food. In addition to that, we want to make sure when they come to us, they're served with dignity. And we do that by allowing clients to actually shop. It's a unique approach in which the clients can actually take a cart and they can shop just like they would at the grocery store, and they can pick for their family what they would like to have in their cart. Again, we always make sure to have good sources of protein, fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, shelf-stable items in addition to that. So that is how we were servicing, and I wanted to share that with you just so then that way when we transition, I'm going to share a little bit about COVID and how we've had to change and adapt in the last year. Moving on to our other programs, early childhood education. Of course, come March, we did have to close our doors. We instantly were serving children virtually, but typically they're in the classroom, about 322 of them. In addition to that, energy and housing assistance, we serve out of our Patuxent Woods location. Clients typically walk through the door and they meet a caseworker. Upon meeting that caseworker, again, we wrap our arms around them and want to offer integrated services. So COVID, right? I think that's the biggest question that a lot of people ask us. How has COVID impacted human service organizations, specifically a place like ours that offers critical services to these families? And what I can tell you is instantly we had to adapt, right? We had to close doors of certain things. We had to change our service delivery model of certain things. And we had to prioritize what we needed to do. So first and foremost, for the safety of our staff, volunteers, the public, and the families we serve, we did close our doors to that shopping model that I spoke to. And we currently still are offering pre-packaged bags. Those bags are pre-packaged with those same wonderful items, fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, and high sources of protein. And those packages are put together based upon the number of families. So we're making sure that, you know, if you're a family of 4 or a family of 10, you're getting the correct quantity of food that you need. In addition to that, we increase the number of days that people can come to the food bank. You used to be able to come only once every 30 days. Right now, we're at once every 14 days. In addition to that, our Head Start families and that early childhood education program, they can come to us up to once a week. And we will work with them closely if they need additional support outside of that. The other thing we did to adapt instantly is we had to bring the food to the people. We knew that we had high-risk populations, senior citizens, people with transportation issues, and then again, to reiterate those early childhood education and Head Start families. How do we get the food to them so they do not need to come to us? We partnered with COAD, we partnered with Columbia Community Cares, and we held over I think it was about 52 pop-up pantries starting in March 2020, where we would actually go to those apartment complexes or set up shop at another location and distribute food. For our energy and housing cases and serving our families in that capacity, we set up virtual spaces within our building that we were actually able to have a client come in if they needed to. They were in a special area on a tablet and they could Zoom with the client. We knew that not everybody had access to internet, to a laptop, to get the documents that they needed to us. So we made sure that they had the opportunity to come here if they needed to. In addition to that, telephone access was made available to laptops of caseworkers to make sure that families could reach us no matter where we were. And then again, like I said, we currently are still using that model, but we are fully functioning as an agency if we cannot be in the building, which is an incredible success story for a human service organization like ours. I also then wanted to kind of talk to you a little bit about Head Start and what we're doing there. So within our Head Start program, like I mentioned at the beginning, in March we had to close our doors and we instantly moved to a virtual setting. And very quickly, we realized that once the public school systems also were in that virtual platform, that some of our students were sharing tablets with their older siblings. So we quickly worked to secure about 72 tablets to make sure our children had them. We quickly worked to secure to make sure that they had access to internet in partnership with places like Comcast and local agencies. And we now can fully function virtually for our students in the classroom and at home. So again, we are opened, we are fully functioning, we have been since July, and we have had a very successful rollout of this virtual setting. So COVID impact by numbers, talking to you a little bit about what we have seen. So unemployment rate in Howard County has increased from about 2.7% to about 5%. That's a number that Howard County isn't used to, and it's new. Food assistance from March until about June, we saw about a 300% increase in demand at the Howard County Food Bank. Again, typically we serve about 30,000 people a year. During COVID, that year we served 52,000 people. In addition to that, energy assistance, about 5,000 people have received energy assistance, and there are still about 500 on the waiting list. All of the clients that we currently are supporting with housing assistance who have received, all of the clients that we have supported with energy assistance, we do anticipate that they will need housing assistance and vice versa. And then as you can see for housing assistance, we've received about 1,000 applications representing about 3,000 people and allocated about $1.2 million in funds. And right now we have about 340 people on that housing wait list. I think the other thing that we as an organization and just in general, people in the human service organization, data is something that drives us, right? It needs to be what drives our work, where we go, how we support, who we support. It's important though to step back and remember that behind every one of those numbers that came to the food bank, behind every one of those numbers that needed help with their rent or mortgage, there's a person, and there's a person who needs our help. And as you take a second to look at these stories that I have shared with you here, I wanted to tell you the story of an individual. I won't name names, but he came to us. He had 3 children at home and a wife. Him and his wife were expecting a brand new baby, obviously very excited about that. And unfortunately, she contracted COVID and passed away right after giving birth to their brand new baby. And I tell you that story, I know it's heartbreaking. I actually sometimes still have to choke back when I talk about it. It just reminds me again, the people and the stories behind those numbers. It is so much more than a data point. It is a family who is here in Howard County struggling to make ends meet before this, and now just the impact of COVID has only deepened the issues for them. That specific individual came to us for housing support, and we supported him with about $10,000 in rental assistance. So, the question is, how do I help? How do I get help if I need help? I think the biggest thing I want you all to leave here with today is knowing who we are and what we do, and that we are here to serve people that need a hand up. And tell someone you know about us, because you never know if that person needs support or if they know someone who needs support. So be familiar with our resources, be familiar with who we are and what we do, so you can talk about it. In addition to that, engage in our virtual volunteer activities right now. Reach out to us. We're doing some unique things. We're offering virtual tours of the Howard County Food Bank. We have a poverty simulator in which we actually can present to groups and or individuals, and we walk you through coming to us in a time of crisis and what would happen in the event you would need to come to us, and how we support you and how we incorporate the incredible volunteers and the incredible community partners like Firn and Grassroots and HopeWorks, how we plug those people in when a family comes to us. So you would learn that in this poverty simulator. In addition to that, we're putting together different kinds of kits. One of those kits right now that's really unique is a COVID care kit, specifically for our early childhood education team. So if a family comes and there's been an exposure or a little one or one of their parents, what's the first thing that we all get to do, right? We can do a Target pickup or a Walmart pickup, but for some of these families that's challenging. So we actually have groups putting together COVID care kits, and it's masks and Lysol, gift cards to Grubhub so they can order dinner for their family. All of the things that so many people take advantage for when we get sick can be assembled in this kit, so that way we can send families home with that. In addition to that, make a contribution. Donate to CAC. Find something, whether it be food assistance, whether that be housing assistance or energy assistance. The impact of one, really, we have seen that more now than ever. One person, one donation can really change the trajectory of one person's life. So at that, I will end. Here is my information along with my phone number. I will put it in the chat. I'm also going to put in the chat, if you know anybody who needs help, the number that they would reach out to and the email address they would reach out to for that. So I will now stop sharing and open it to questions.
Thank you so much, Ashley, for that presentation. Love what you're doing to really make Howard County a better place, because so often, you know, it is a lot of class issues here, and it's very easy for people to not see, you know, that their neighbor might need help. I have questions. Is it possible if an organization or group of people, maybe a church or a sorority, if we wanted to maybe do a food simulator and then pack up, you know, like a COVID preparation kit, or like what you were talking about with putting the Grubhub card in, can you make like a service, mini service days or service
Absolutely.
events for groups?
Absolutely.
Similar to what you did with MLK.
Yeah, the best part is we have worked through safe ways to engage people. So whether that be you guys doing an outside collection and then meeting as a collective whole at the food bank or an early childhood education center to make the drop, much like MLK Day, that was done. And then the drop was made safely at the food bank. Everybody kept their distance. We kept masks on. It was a really impactful day. So yeah, you could definitely work to do the poverty simulator and at the same time do a collection of items, assemble those as a group somewhere else or individually in your own homes, and then collectively come together to make the donation.
And you already mentioned items that people really need, that are well listed on your website, right? So what are the biggest things if somebody said right now, I just want to, aside from money, what does Howard County really need?
I would say diapers is at the front of our minds always, feminine hygiene products, again, high sources of protein like peanut butter, beans, pasta sauce is always something we need. In addition to that, within our early childhood education program, we have a wish list of items that our kiddos need, whether that be to help stock up bins that we keep on hand for when a child has an accident, or maybe they came without a coat or boots. But with certain asks like that, I ask that people reach out to me, groups reach out to me, so we can be intentional and impactful with the contribution you want to make.
And the last question for you is, if a family or an individual is in need, what is the fastest? Because everybody wants to know, like, if I need help, what's the fastest I can get help? What's the fastest I can get food or assistance, diapers, anything you were talking about? How fast is that?
At the Howard County Food Bank, on the days that we are open, you can get food that day. So if you walk in with the items that we need you to have, you will get food. In addition to that, let's say you show up and you don't have the documentation, we're going to make sure you leave with something. As far as housing and energy, it really depends on when that documentation of the items we need to move the case forward. And it also depends on the individual situation. So I can't put an exact timeline on something like housing or energy. Food, I can tell you if you show up at the food bank and you need food, we are going to get you food that day. I can also put the hours of the Howard County Food Bank in the chat.
Please do that, and thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really glad that Howard County has so many great services to help people, and I hope that if you're one of the attendees and you have friends and family, that you can share this information with them so that you never know, like Ashley said, you never know. So we're going to turn it over to our next presenter, who is Jessa Coulter, Family and Community Services Specialist from the Foreign-Born Information Referral Network, otherwise known as Firn.
Thanks so much, Marla. I'm going to wait for that. There's that share. All right. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thank you so much for having Firn here today. We're really excited to be part of this event, and I'm excited to share with you a little bit about the organization. Firn has been around for almost 40 years now. We serve clients from Baltimore to DC, but are focused mainly in Howard County, and we provide immigration legal services, family and community services, and also translation and interpretation services for the immigrant community. We believe that the immigrant story is the American story. It's rooted in the idea that all new Americans bring richness and value to American life. And that's something that we're really committed to, especially in this day and age. Something that we focus on a lot at Firn is changing the narrative about immigration and wanting to make sure that Howard County is a place that's very welcoming to immigrants. So quick by the numbers, there are actually 1 in 5 Howard County residents are immigrants. And while many are from Central America, Korea, and India, we also have about 25% of our clients have been from 38 different African countries. And we wanted to highlight that, especially as we're in the Black Excellence Expo, that is a huge population that we also do see, and that those 38 countries don't include Afro-Caribbean countries. So if we see here the different countries of origin of the clients that we've had, the greatest populations have been from Liberia and Ghana. And Liberia, most people who come to Firn for our services are coming because they're fleeing they were fleeing the Civil War. And so today I'm going to share with you I'm going to take you on a client journey. This is a fictional case to protect the privacy of our clients, but it will give you a really realistic view of the different services that individuals will be able to receive through Firn. So here's Samuel. He's 49. He's from Liberia, and he and his sons fled the Civil War in 2002. His wife and daughter really tragically passed away during the war. They were processed as refugees in Ghana and arrived in the US. After a year in the US, they were eligible to apply for green cards, and that's when they came to Firn to use our low bono and pro bono immigration legal services. And so we have really reduced rates of legal services for our team, and then if individuals are unable to afford that, we also have a program in place that has no cost. And while waiting for that, the immigration system in the US takes many, many years. And so our family and community services team is there to address basic needs. So similar to what Ashley was talking about with the Community Action Council, we are doing food distribution. We're helping immigrants enroll their children in school. A lot of times it is difficult to navigate the different systems. There are so many great services that the US offers, that Maryland offers, and Howard County offers, but it can be difficult to navigate that when you're in a new country, or if you don't speak English, or if English is your second language. And so that's what our team focuses on. So then in 2008, the legal journey of Samuel and his sons continued because they were now eligible to apply for citizenship. So Firn was able to connect Samuel with a tutor to help prepare for that citizenship exam. And once they were a citizen, we were able to help apply for birth certificates for the minor children. Now they became eligible for things like food stamps and other social services. And now Samuel is still working with Firn. He's completing a petition to bring his sister, who's still in Liberia, to the US. So you can see in this one story, we have a couple different ways that those legal services are being used, and the family and community services that we offer, from food stamps or food distribution if someone's not eligible, applying for birth certificates, applying for social security card, school registration. Even we have clients who need help creating an email account, or want to have somebody help them do a three-way call, making a doctor's appointment, just really navigating the different systems and what it means to be living in a new country. So just because it is the time that we are in, our programs really have expanded because of COVID. We have created the rental assistance program, similar to CAC, where we've also received funds and have been able to provide almost $400,000 to date for rental assistance. Our food distribution and food stamps application has increased significantly. We've really been focusing on health equity in the immigrant community. And so providing COVID testing, flu shots, webinars, and information, especially now with the vaccine. We're doing a lot of information about myths and facts about the vaccine. And then also unemployment applications, helping clients. Somebody will call in to see if they're eligible, and then how does that process work. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, a lot of the programs. There are a lot of things that we do at Firn. If anyone has any questions or wants to get connected, here's my information. And just like Ashley said, if you know anyone in the community who needs help navigating these different systems, who is in need of legal advice or support, definitely have them reach out to us.
Thank you so much, Jessa, for a wonderful and encouraging presentation. Does anybody have any questions? If not, I'll give you the question I have. So you talked about this journey to immigration that was a long journey. Yeah, and tenuous. And I just wanted to say, my question is more of a comment. I just wanted to say thank you, because my husband is from Guinea. And when I came in your offices and used your services and the translation of the French documents and those things, everyone on staff that I've encountered treated me with the utmost kindness and respect. And it was a good deal financially as well.
I'm so glad to hear that. It can be a very frustrating, discouraging process. Some of these, a petition to bring a sibling over can take up to 20 years. And so we are happy to be able to provide these sources and resources and services to the community.
And so do you think now, the other question, I think now in the current political climate that things will change?
Yeah,
and the process will be smoother?
So,
and what changes have you already?
Yeah, we have already seen some changes, and we're expecting more changes. It is all of last year was pretty much a question of how the election would turn out and how that's going to impact immigration. Yeah, it's a little bit hard to say, but our legal team is definitely on top of everything, and as things change, definitely if you're connected with us on social media, we're constantly posting the different announcements. I think there was one recently that the citizenship test is changing, and so there were 2 different forms of the exam. So even some smaller things like that. So we really try to use our social media to educate people about those changes.
If you're taking donations, I'm sure you are, everybody is nowadays, what are the things that Firn needs the most?
Yeah, so because we do food distribution, we receive food from the Maryland Food Bank, but also from private donors, different churches and different organizations, and that's huge. On our website, we have a wish list of different food items. We try to also be mindful of the immigrant community, and so there are some cultural foods that maybe you wouldn't typically find at the Maryland Food Bank that we're able to stock thanks to donors. Car seats is something that we get a lot of requests for. Diapers, formula are definitely high in demand.
And another question, are you connected at all with maybe ways that if people want to volunteer to house people who need asylum and things, like where is that process?
Yeah, so we do through our legal services. We have people, a lot of people who are claiming asylum can come through our services. We don't do housing right now, but we can connect to other organizations in the region that do some of that resettlement work.
Okay, thank you very much for your excellent presentation. Now we're going to move on to Lila Boer from Howard County's Office of Consumer Protection.
Hello. Hello?
We can't see you. Can you turn your camera on? We can hear you though. Thank you so much.
Sorry. Okay.
And I know you wanted to present, so I have the one slide with your information that I can show at the end, so you can start presenting whenever you want. We're ready.
Okay, well, I'm Lila Boer. I'm an investigator at the Howard County Office of Consumer Protection, and I'm going to tell you what our office does and how it can help you. First of all, so we are a civil enforcement agency. We have civil powers and civil remedies. We can also take enforcement actions. We do regulate and oversee several statutes. We do oversee the Howard County Consumer Protection Statute. We also have jurisdiction over the Howard County Landlord Tenant Statute, as well as the Peddlers and Solicitors Statute and the Trespass Towing Statute. Those are 4 statutes that we have jurisdiction over. We can also take enforcement action against businesses. We also looking for unfair, deceptive trade practices of businesses. We can issue subpoenas. We can fine businesses. We can also have a statement of charges against businesses. We can even take businesses to court if we find that there is a pattern of unfair, deceptive trade practices. So that's our enforcement type of component of our office. We also have an education component of our office where we will do presentations to just about any kind of group that requests one. We used to do them in person, but now we do them virtually. But we do presentations throughout the community to community groups, church groups, senior groups, businesses, government agencies, whoever wants presentations on various consumer-related topics, we can do that as well. What we try to do mainly is a mediation component of the office, which is where if a person has a complaint against any kind of business transaction that they may get involved with, whether it's a billing problem with a dentist or their Verizon bills or any sort of billing issue, it could be any kind of contract issue, possibly a home improvement contractor, maybe a new house where the builder hasn't fulfilled his warranty obligations. Tree services, just about anything that you do as a consumer in the buying of goods and services makes everyone a consumer. So anytime you have a problem with anything relating to what you do in terms of buying or renting or receiving goods and services, we can help with those complaints by mediation. And if it becomes more involved, where we see a pattern or a practice of something that the business is doing illegally, we can then take enforcement action. We also do a tremendous amount of landlord-tenant complaints. Howard County enacted a landlord-tenant statute of our own in 2018. So we enforce that in addition to the state statute. So this statute has given tenants many more rights than they would have had just with the state statute. So we handle every kind of landlord-tenant complaint except for those where there are repair issues that the landlord has not made to the property. That would go through the rental housing office and the Department of License Inspections and Permits. But we handle everything else, from security deposit disputes to rent problems. I mean, all eviction issues. We can't help you from getting evicted if you've been to court, but we sometimes can step in prior to that and try to make an argument for you by a mediation process. So we do a lot of that. We put out a lot of information on our webpage, through social media. We try to give a lot of scam alerts whenever we hear that there is scams coming into the county, or residents have been hit up by a scam. They generally report them to us, and then we just get that out on social media. We get that out, put it up on the Facebook page. They get it out through Instagram and whatever else the county is using as forms of social media. We also put scam alerts on our webpage so that to make you aware if something's happening, so that you know not to get involved in the scam, whether it's phone calls that go around, whether it's emails that go around. We always try to keep people informed of the newest scams that's happening, so that you don't become a victim of them. We also have numerous tip sheets on our website. If you want a tip sheet on, for example, how to contract with a home improvement contractor, what is my landlord, what are my rights as a tenant, just about how to freeze my credit file so I don't become a victim of identity theft. We have many tip sheets that are available to you to pull off and look at. So before you get involved in something, hopefully you will look at a tip sheet and know how to better contract with somebody, how to better, pick a home improvement contractor. And we also field many questions. The first step usually is that people will contact us either by email or by phone, telling us of their problem that they're having with a business or a landlord. So what we'll do is we try to give you advice and some guidance and direction, possibly on how to handle the problem yourself, or we can refer you to another agency if we are not the appropriate one. But if we are, we will advise you then to file a complaint with us, and you can do that by going on our website and filling out the form right there and submitting it. But we are available for any kind of guidance, questions, advice, for any kind of consumer related issue at any time from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. We're here to take your questions. We used to meet people in person that would come in with their problem, their complaints, and they would bring in their documents. But with COVID, we can't do that now. So we're pretty much doing everything over the phone and through email. And that's been working out pretty well. So we're still offering the same level of service during COVID as we did before. The only difference is we can't actually sit down with you and go over things and explain documents, which was very helpful, but we can't do that right now. But we are here to assist you with any landlord-tenant problem or problem you're having with any kind of business that occurred in Howard County. That gives us jurisdiction. For example, if you hire a painter and he comes out of Baltimore, but he did painting in your house, that gives us jurisdiction because the problem occurred in Howard County. As far as the peddlers and solicitors, those are the people that go around door to door or on the streets selling goods or soliciting for services. We do license them. We license what I said before was trespass towing services. If anyone parks in some commercial property or residential property in the wrong space or against the parking restrictions of that community, your car can be towed in Howard County without your permission or your consent. That makes it what's called a trespass tow. And we do license and regulate those trespass towing companies. So, and they do have to post signs in the community. So for people that frequent a lot of commercial properties and rental properties or, townhouse communities, condo communities, there are often going to be signs stating that if you park, illegally parked vehicles are subject to be towed. So keep that in mind when parking in any private property in Howard County, that if you're parking in the wrong place, your car can be towed without your permission or consent. But we do take complaints against those companies if they do something illegal or against the statute. We do investigate them. So just be careful where you park in Howard County because this happens quite often. If you want to file a complaint, process would be you file a complaint, and then we have we have a protocol of 2 letters. Generally, we will get a letter out to the business within the first few days of you filing the complaint. And we make an argument. We try to mediate the complaint based on one complaint, that there's no other complaints against that business. And then if they don't respond, 2 weeks later, we send a little more of a threatening letter, and we have a protocol. So generally, you'll hear something back within a month. Unless, of course, the business is totally uncooperative and we can't reach them by phone, or they're just not cooperating. If there's no violations of statute, then we just do mediation, and then we could be stuck on the situation. But most businesses do respond, and we do get a response, and we are trying to get resolutions for our consumers with their problems by either getting a service corrected, practice changed, money back, a service done. So those are the kind of resolutions that we can obtain for you. And we do not advise people to go to court. We advise people to file complaints with us first, because we are free and we are faster, and hopefully we'll keep you out of court if possible. As a last resort, you might still have to take a business to court, but we will try our best through our mediation process or possible enforcement actions before that happens. So that's about it in a quick overview of what we do and how we can help you. If you're not sure if your problem falls into our jurisdiction, just give us a call. We'll be happy to talk with you and explain things to you, or advise you in any way we can to be of service to our residents. So anybody have any questions?
Lila, you covered every single question anyone wanted to ask, especially how long does it take for justice? Everyone wants to know. But I do have a question actually left. What have you seen with the inception of COVID? What kind of cases seem to be on the rise?
Well, with COVID, the main thing is the landlord-tenant, where people were being charged late charges. But we have a bill that came into effect May 23rd of last year, and it's the Rental Housing Stability Act, and that prevents certain things from happening with landlords in Howard County. One, they cannot raise rents. They cannot evict you if you had a hardship due to COVID in terms of your employment or the amount of money you make. They cannot assess late charges to anyone regardless of anything. So those are the main things we're seeing, is people calling and saying, well, I got a late charge I got a late charge, or what are my rights? Can I get evicted? So we're seeing mainly with COVID, it's a landlord-tenant component. The rest of it, it doesn't really affect, COVID's not affected much of anything else, but it definitely affects the landlord-tenant, because it does give the tenants more rights of what the landlord can't do. And people do call and ask us many times, especially earlier on. Now pretty much the word is out that they can't assess the late charges, you can't be evicted. But there is confusion on the eviction. You can still be evicted for breach of lease terms, for other things unrelated to COVID. So if you just didn't pay your rent because you thought you don't have to pay it during COVID, well, you can still be evicted for that. You'd have to go to court and show the judge that, well, my hours were reduced, or I lost my job and I don't make the same amount of money. You can't be evicted for that. So we're constantly giving people advice regarding that particular issue, the question of when I cannot be evicted.
Thank you so much. Now, we only have 2 minutes left, so I'd like to bring all the panelists on camera and video. Hi, everybody. Just to thank you so much for your generous contribution today, because you never know who needs what, and you never know who people know. We are all linked together. Good morning, those who have chosen to do this life-changing workshop with Juanita Kareem. My name is Marla Moore, and I am an outreach coordinator with the Howard County Office of Human Rights and Equity. And it is our pleasure. We do investigate discrimination in Howard County. We do teach classes that battle discrimination and deal with social justice, but we also have events that bring the community together. And one of the biggest things about Black History and Black History Month is that if we're seeking justice, we cannot have justice without equity in home ownership, in community ownership, in the school system. So economic justice is a big, huge priority for us. And this is why we have this workshop. So I'm going to introduce our workshop facilitator today, and then let her take it away. Juanita Kareem is a 29-year veteran paralegal who came to Howard County in 2005 as the senior paralegal in the Office of Law. She was later promoted to and retained the position as the compliance officer for the Department of Housing and Community Development. Juanita has a passion for helping people and is able to do so in small ways and big ways with her current role. She's going to talk about some housing resources in the county that you might not even know about. And the reason I know this is because I didn't know until a coworker told me. And I did the workshops and took the advice of some very smart ladies. They were all females at facilitators at the time. I got my credit together. I got my life straightened out, and I have saved money, and I am situated to become a homeowner very soon. And I want to let everyone know that it's never too old to get your life together. And I know that I'm about to be co-signed by an amazing facilitator. So take it away, Juanita.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, all. We've heard the term obtaining the American dream. It means a few things to some people, but mostly it means home ownership. A fact that I read. Unfortunately, the pattern of home ownership and generational wealth building is broken for many Black families. In the first quarter of 2020, 40% of Black families own their home, compared to 73.7% of white families. Did you hear me? 44% versus 73.7. So we, as whether it's Black History Month or any time, the Office of Housing has to make sure that anything that we do is for equal opportunity. And we obtained equal opportunity for Blacks, brown people, and other minorities back when we were all probably a little younger. In 1937, you might have heard about a term called redistricting. What was that? It meant that they made sure that certain homeowners or certain areas only contained housing for people that don't look like us. In 1962, Jim Rouse, a philanthropist, decided, I want to integrate my area. I want Columbia to be a mixture of cultures and people and things. And that's how Columbia came to be. Some other startling facts are by ethnicity. You can see here that the Asian family makes more than any of us. The Caucasian family is here in the green line, the Hispanic, and then the African Americans. We historically make the least amount of money. And why is that important for what I have to talk about? Because anything my department does is based upon your income. So for 2021, the area median income for Howard County is $117,730. That's saying a four-person household is making an average of that. The average market rate homes are $445,316 in Howard County. What kind of income do you need? You need at least $130,000 to carry a mortgage like that. The rents in Howard County average about $2,057. That's way higher than a lot of people mortgages. And the income to maintain rental in most apartment complexes in Howard County is $74,052. But we have ways to help those bridge the gap. Love our Come Home to Howard County logo. So in the housing affordability division, we have what's called the Moderate Income Housing Unit Program, MIHU. You can hear that all over town, rental and home ownership. We have a program that's called Reinvest, Renovate, and Restore. We have the Settlement Down Payment Loan Program. We have foreclosure prevention that's coming very, very soon, and COVID rental and utility assistance. How are we going to help you do that? In Howard County, if you make 80% of the area median income, you can qualify for home ownership. At 60%, you qualify for the rental program. The primary goal of the MIHU program is to increase the supply of affordable housing and to bring in some of those families that otherwise could not afford to live in Howard County. This is one of our beautiful communities where you don't even know which one of these houses is an MIHU. They all look the same. Of course, they have different fronts because they chose it. Some have brick, some have all brick, some have siding, but you don't know which one of these houses is the moderate home and which one was the market rate. But I'll tell you, someone paid $270,000 for one house and someone else paid $370,000. As I stated, everything we do is based upon your income, maximum incomes. So if you look at this chart here, to purchase a home, if you're a single person, you cannot make any more than $65,929. If you're a family of four, might be mom and dad working, 2 kids, your maximum income is $94,184, and it goes up from there. This is a rental community, another MIHU complex where there's some people paying $2,500 for rent, and there's somebody paying $1,700 for rent. The rental incomes are slightly lower than home ownership because, of course, with home ownership, you still have to be able to pay a mortgage. We base the rental income limits at 60% of the area median income. So if you're a single person and you don't make more than $49,447, you could rent at places like Oxford Square, Azure at Oxford Square, or Penniman Park. They're all over the county. That's basically about the MIHU home ownership and rental side. Getting that home, you have to put a percentage down. So whether you're going through us with the MIHU program or not, if you are purchasing a home in Howard County, you have the ability to use our Settlement Down Payment Loan Program, SDLP. And again, everything is based upon income. So if you can borrow up to $40,000 or increments, depending on what your gap is. The home that you're purchasing, whether it's MIHU or not, cannot exceed $429,620. It becomes a second mortgage, and it can be silent, or you could pay on it. But once you go to sell your home, then you do have to pay back. These are the 4 different areas of types of loans. The one I like a lot is the Dream Maker and the Revitalization Loan and Workforce one. That Workforce Initiative loan is awesome because if you work in the county and are purchasing a home in the county, you get higher increments, and for every year you stay in your home, 1/10, up to 10 years, 1/10 of your loan is forgiven. So you've got somebody, you got a family member that's already living in Howard County. They have a home, they have some problems with it. The roof is leaking, the HVAC is a mess, the windows are crazy, or they may need a ramp. That's when the Reinvest, Renovate, and Restore program comes in. We call it the RRR. So with that, again, there are maximum limits for income levels, but if your home needs some rehabilitation, including exterior improvements, you can get a loan for up to $40,000 with an interest rate that won't exceed 2% to be able to do that work. And we help you from beginning to end. This is a community that received funds through what we call the Home Investment Program. On top of MIHU, we have other things that are like shared equity and shared appreciation. Don't need to learn those terms because we don't really do them anymore. But home funds are still very viable for us. And these greenhouses, I'll call them, at the cottages at Greenwood, were funded through the home investment program, and they're single family individual cottages, but they helped make them a green home. If you can see the little flower pot here, I don't know if you can see my mouse as well, that is actually a flow for the water to fall back in to from the gutters at the top of the house and to spread throughout the grass. As I said, the foreclosure prevention program is coming really, really soon. We have the funding. We hope to announce that next week. If you are in need of help of saving the home that you're already living in, you can contact us and we will put you in queue to get an application. Many of us have been hit by income and where we live and finances through COVID-19. We have already put out 3 rounds of financial aid for eviction prevention. My department doesn't directly give out the funds, but what we do is grant them to nonprofits. The nonprofits that we use primarily are Community Action Council, Grassroots, Firn, and Family and Children's Services, which actually just changed their name. We will update that for the new flyer to say Springboard. So there will be 4 nonprofits that will have the funds available to help you with eviction prevention only if your income was affected by COVID. You have to prove that, and also for utility assistance. On March 11th, I hope you all tune in. We will have a huge press conference for some very much unprecedented money that has come into our department that we're going to also give to the nonprofits for the foreclosure. I'm sorry, we're going to use it for foreclosure, but we're giving it to the nonprofits for eviction prevention. So, told you who I am, Juanita Kareem. I'm the compliance officer. I kind of just put my hands on a little bit of everything in our department. We have a new division chief for the home ownership housing opportunities program. Her name is Christina Page, and there's her contact information. And if you just want to know anything in general, our general number is 410-313-6318, or you can reach us at housing@howardcountymd.gov. I hope that I've given you just a little nugget of something for what our department can do.
Thank you so much for your presentation. And yes, we have questions. When is the next round of the MIHU, and how long does that process take, assuming you started with the next round? And what do you have to have in order? How long does it take to where you could possibly have a home one day? Because what everybody wants to know, where's my house?
Where's my house? Where's my house? So everybody is a unicorn. Okay, I pride myself on being a unicorn, but the process is different for everyone. The next open enrollment for home buyers opportunity is April 1st. And I believe that's a weekday, so it will be open on that first day and run through the end of the month, where you can file your application electronically, or you can send us by mail a paper application. Our offices are still closed right now to the public, so you can't bring it to us, unfortunately, but feel free to mail it in or do the online portal. The online portal will tell you you're going to need your most recent pay stubs, your most recent tax return or W-2, any information about income for everyone in your household over the age of 18, and anything about your assets. How does the process go? We look at your income, we look at your credit score, and we see where you may fit. There's no time frame. Somebody could be chosen for a home in days. It may take months for other folks. It's because we get housing stock, either brand new construction, or a current homeowner may call us and say, hey, I've lived here 5 years. It's been great. We want to move on. We are growing to a bigger home, which is what ideally the home ownership program is for. Any others? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, yes. Okay, so do you have to be currently residing at a Howard County address. And the reason I asked that is because with COVID, many people are displaced. You understand, like maybe they lived in Howard County before, but now they're living in Baltimore because the shelter, the place they lived at, how people do that COVID shelter. I want to be alone, so you got to go somewhere else type of thing.
Absolutely not. You can live wherever. Right now, we have had folks move from Indiana that wanted to come live in Howard County, applied, and are happily living in Howard County now.
And for the one where you improve the homes, you said there's an income bracket for that. Is that something that a lot of seniors can take advantage of? How does that usually end up working out?
It is actually more for our elder population, but anyone can take advantage of it. I did not put up the income limits for that, but it is definitely on our website as well. I will put our web info, a short link in there if I can. But it is, if you go on under the housing department site, on the left-hand side, you'll see that says, I already own my home. And it'll give you a list of resources as well as the income information.
So if you would have any advice for people who are starting out, what would you tell them to do if they wanted to live in Howard County? Any things they should be aware of? Anything they can do to get their situation together before they see you?
I would say that we usually know what our downfalls are. So if you think credit is an issue, contact us. There are some agencies that we partner with to help build your credit as well. If it's income, there's not much I can tell you except for just keep working hard and get there. But basically just try to, if you're renting, keep your rental history at 99.9% on time, keep employment, steady employment, even in the same industry, even if you have to change a job. But the lenders are going to be looking at things like that. They want to know that you have steady income, that you have worked in the same job or industry approximately 3 years or something like that. Your current rental history is free of evictions or anything else crazy, outside of course, emergencies that may happen from a divorce or major health issues and things like that. But
or COVID.
Yeah.
How has that changed the way you serve people?
I guess the main change is that we can't see people physically, but we are all, my staff, the team, we're all working very, very hard to try to keep up. The only thing that affected COVID was that we had some homeowners who were looking to grow and we had to push them off for a little bit, but we've now started reselling units and getting some new families into Howard County, and we've helped some other families that started out small and now they're growing and now they're able to buy a single family home. So we're still doing a lot. We're actually doing more because of COVID. We've gotten more funding than we ever have.
So how long do you have to stay in the program in one house until you can upsize as your family grows?
There's no time limit on living in your MIU. Of course, you want to stay a couple years to get a little equity, and of course, see yourself grow financially before you jump into something bigger. And with the MIU program, they're all condos and townhomes, not single-family detached homes. So when a family is ready to move on to the bigger and better, we wish them luck, and that will be all we can do for them. But there's no time frame. We've had people that have only lived there a year. We've had some that have been there, 2021, about 12 years. So it just depends on that individual.
So when you say, okay, everything's either a townhome or a condo, if somebody wanted to have the detached home, then they would have to use the other program maybe as far as getting help with the settlement costs? And how is that different
I will
in terms
say,
of the output?
I will say that For Howard County, if I know my pricing well, the down payment assistance maximum house value is like $429. It's going to be rare that they find a single family detached home that's under that $429 and that they also meet the income limits. So it's rare that we have that assistance for somebody getting a detached home. Again, it's to help that moderate income family. It's to help those who don't make the six figures.
Okay, and then one other, I think it's probably the last question. You know how when you are looking at a home to purchase and you're looking at the condo fees and the HOA fees, how does that actually affect the overall mortgage if someone's considering, looking the price range they can actually afford or whatever?
We factor that in as far as qualifying people as well. There are some communities where there is both a condo and an HOA fee. And so they're two fees. And they can range anywhere from $65 to almost $300 a month. And that's on top of your mortgage. So we do look at those amounts when qualifying folks for a home. It plays a big part. And some people turn things down just because the HOA fees is too high. They may not like what the amenities are in that community, but we do factor in those amounts along with the mortgage amount to make sure that you'll still be able to afford it comfortably.
Okay, everyone, if nobody has any more questions, we're going to move on and say goodbye to Juanita, who's one of the hardest working women in show business. Please put your information in the chat, Juanita, if you have not. And everybody, please remember that if you're interested in MIHU or other programs, go to this website. You can give them a call. Everybody, these people, every facilitator that I've brought on board for this event is looking to help you. And they're going to pick up the phone. And if you say, hey, the Office of Human Rights and Equity, that girl Marla told me that I could call you, it's absolutely true, because we want to build capacity in the Black community. And the only way we can do that is by being hands-on. Juanita, would you like to leave us with any words of wisdom about the journey to home buying and all those things?
I want to say it is well worth the headache. It will take a lot to get in, but it is well worth it, because generational wealth, which African Americans don't always think about, home ownership is one of those things. You can pass down property from one generation to the next. So take the leap, take the jump, go for it.